thinking. We need to understand that America, the United States of America, is not a civilization. We do not live in a civilization. Okay, we live in a country that practices vulgarian barbarianism. All right. And they practice professional, degenerate savagery and vandalism. You need to understand this. This is the complete opposite of what civilization is. Kemet was a civilization. Kush was a civilization. The Timbuktu was a civilization. Mali was a civilization. These were civilizations that we came from. And now the war, that what happened was between the civilized and the barbarian. Okay, you need to understand that this is not a civilized democracy. What this is a non-transparent polyarchy, a non-transparent barbaric polyarchy. You understand that the practice is global vandalism for profit. We need to understand that. The tenets of civilization are humanitarianism, justice. You cannot be inherently violent as a civilization, all right? Sophisticated education, the preservation of your natural resources. This is what it means to be civilized. You cannot have, let's say, a violent civilization. That's an oxymoron, okay? So if we were to do an analysis on the United States to see whether or not the United States can be considered a civilization, we would start with, let's say, violence, all right? So we're first at a lot of things, all right? Education ain't one, I'm going to tell you that. But we're first at a lot of things. Let's see, what are we first at? We're the #1 nation for number of rapes, number of school shootings, the #1 nation. We spend the most money in the world on war, all right? Like 37% of the world's military costs is spent in the United States of America. We're the #1 exporter and purchaser of weapons. You understand? We've been in almost uninterrupted warfare since the 1940s. You understand? Our nation was founded in the eradication of the indigenous peoples and in the transportation or transatlantic human slave trade, transatlantic human trafficking. This is what the nation has its inception in. You need to understand that, okay? So this is why I say, you understand that a creature, when a creature starts to adapt, adaptation doesn't take it into a new creature. It doesn't go from a rabbit into an elephant. No, it adapts to be the greatest of that type of a creature that it can possibly be, which is why I tell people you should not be surprised that Donald Trump is the president. This is the height. He's the greatest president that you could have for a vulgarian, barbarian polyarchy, because he is a vulgarian barbarian. You understand? What's happened now? He's the best thing for that type of system. He is the evolution of that system. You understand? Because now the cognitive dissonance has been removed. So it is what it is. But so again, when we deal with being the most violent nation, who's been in the most warfare, who spends the most on war, who has the most school shootings, who has the most rapes, when we're dealing with that shows us that then if any country can be called a civilization, it wouldn't be us, because you cannot be considered a civilization and be inherently violent. That is an oxymoron. Okay, civilization must be just. You understand? It has to be just. That's a prerequisite. So when we're dealing with that, we know factually that black people have higher conviction rates, or harsher conviction time for the same crimes the whites have. We understand that. This is something that we know. We know that there's no justice. There hasn't been any justice since the inception of this country. So between 2005 and 2017, out of all of the black murders that happened at the hand of the police, only 49 of them were indicted. And of those 49 indictments, only 5 of them went to prison. That's like a 12% conviction rate. And let me not even say prison, because I don't know that to be fact. I know that they were convicted. That's like a 12% conviction rate. You understand? And black men are killed all the time unarmed, black people, period. So you need to understand justice. There's a lot of people that don't believe that the justice system is run correctly and that there is any justice whatsoever. So we're disqualified by violence. We're disqualified by justice, historically and present. You understand? So let's look at it this way. What else are we first in? This country holds more of its own people captive than any other country in the world. It holds more of its minority groups prisoner than any other country in the world. Does mass imprisonment of the people of your civilization show that you have a civilization? All right. Okay. So Humanitarianism. Let's see that. Do we meet the prerequisite for that? Well, the United Children's Fund. All right. United Children's Fund looked in, I think it was the 35 most economically advanced countries in the world. And we have the highest child poverty rate, second only to Romania. The highest child poverty rate, second only to Romania. See, a lot of the things you think about this country aren't necessarily true. It's propaganda. So again, humanity. How are we one of the most economically advanced countries that has the highest child rate of poverty? Humanitarianism scratched. I almost have to say. Let's look at education. Okay, so the research group, the firm, it's IPSOS Mori. All right, they showed that we are second in the world in general ignorance of social truths. Okay, second in the world in ignorance. All right, the Program for International Literacy ranks us 24th. 24th in literacy in the world. So we're not winning. So we cannot substantiate the claim that this is a civilization with any of the major three prerequisites of what it means to be civilized or have a civilization. We have a history or tendency towards violence, thievery, forcible subjugation. This is barbarianism. You understand? This is the dictionary meaning. This is the term. This is barbarianism. Okay? We've only traded in the sword for the missile. You need to understand that. Technological advancement does not equal civilized. It does not equal civilization. All right. So again, what we faced since the days that black people actually owned land, owned the globe, ran the globe, had great kingdoms, great dynasties. The difference is that now what's in power is not so much that the white people are in power, which they are. All right. Because as a group, all right, and I'm saying this as a group, there are civilized white people, but there are no European, in the real word would be melanocroid, because European, that's kind of a funny, we've been taught that, but they're Eurasian, they're much Asian as European. But there are no European civilizations, and there have been no great European civilizations down through history. All right. And so that's what we're dealing with. That's what we need to understand.